Unprecedented. This is unprecedented. Russia is no longer joking. Russia has just declared war on Germany. Vladimir Putin's Russia is no longer joking, dear ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to all. Once again, you are welcome here on the Awakening of Consciences platform, the platform that provides you with the best information in real time. Thank you once again for being here. So, Vladimir Putin's Russia is no longer willing to tolerate the attitudes of the Westerners who are allies of Rus, of Ukraine, who throw stones while hiding their hands, who pretend not to participate directly in the conflict, but who indirectly truly participate in the conflict. Russia is no longer willing to tolerate all of this. The first country that was targeted is Germany. So, what does this declaration of war from Russia against Germany contain? In the context of this video conference, that's what we are going to talk about. I ask you to share the video conference as much as possible. Share it in all the groups. Especially give it a lot of likes. And so, let's dive into the depths. To begin with, Germany had withdrawn towards the end of last year, 2024. It had said that it no longer had the means to finance Ukraine. But this time, Germany is coming differently. While the United States of America refuses to sell Patriot missiles, anti-aircraft Patriots, to Ukraine, while America refuses to deliver weapons to Ukraine, it is Germany that volunteers to deliver Taurus missiles to Ukraine. Germany has already agreed to deliver Taurus missiles to Ukraine. However, these Taurus missiles have an unmatched, inexplicable capability. And these are missiles that are capable of truly destroying everything in their path. So if the missiles in question reach Russia, these missiles will cause enormous damage. If these Taurus missiles are launched and reach Russia, they will cause enormous damage. Now, Ukraine does not have the strength or the capability to launch these Taurus missiles. All the arsenal required to launch these Taurus missiles, the geographical coordinates and everything, only Germany can handle all that and launch them on behalf of Ukraine. Do you understand? That means it is Germany that will launch for Ukraine. So in other words, Germany is firing at Russia. It is from there that Russia breaks its silence and officially declares war on Germany. What does Russia say? Russia says this: strikes using Taurus missiles against Russian installations will be considered as Germany's participation in the conflict. And this will require a direct and immediate response from Russia towards Germany, which will henceforth be considered as an integral part of the conflict. So, the declaration was made this Thursday. There you have it, by the official representative of the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. As a reminder, the head of the Christian Democratic Union, CDU, Friedrich Merz, is to be appointed Chancellor in the coming weeks. So the new German Chancellor, he is going to be the new German Chancellor. And because he won the legislative elections, the outgoing Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, had refused to supply Kiev with Taurus missiles. He understood the game. He had refused. But this newcomer, he is willing to deliver. And so, what needs to be said is that the future Chancellor, he is open to the possibility of delivering the Taurus missiles. And what did he say? He says, I have always said that I would only do it in agreement with the European partners. So Germany, under the rule of this new Chancellor, will deliver the Taurus missiles, but he says he will do it with the agreement of the European partners. That is to say, he does not want Russia to turn against Germany alone. Even if Russia were to turn against Germany alone, the other countries of Europe, of the European Union, would need to be there to have its back. So, this is what he said. And he said this on Sunday. On Sunday evening, in response to a question on the subject, he says this. He says, this must be coordinated. And if it is coordinated, then Germany should participate. Here's what he had to say. He says, the Ukrainian army must move out of its defensive position. And she is only reacting. You see, this gentleman, the future German Chancellor, has a bizarre intention to want to continue the conflict and worsen it. I'm telling you that Donald Trump refused. He refuses to sell anti-aircraft missiles, what we call Patriots, to Ukraine. Despite Zelensky saying he has 15 billion, he refuses. What is Trump's argument? He doesn't want the conflict to worsen. But in the meantime, the future German Chancellor, since he wasn't yet Chancellor while the conflict was ongoing, really wants to stir things up. He wants the conflict to escalate. So, he says that Ukraine must get out of the defensive position. And if Ukraine must get out of the defensive position, it means that Ukraine must attack Russia. And that's why he wants to provide the Taurus missiles. And that's the reason why Russia is already declaring war on Germany. If a single Taurus missile lands on Russian soil, it will trigger, according to what the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has implied. So, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I was going to say, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as they call it, Russian, says this. It says, it seems to me that it would be useful for the head of the Christian Democratic Union, CDU, to understand the following. It says this. This is Russia speaking, the official representative of Russia. It says, given that the actual firing of these cruise missiles is impossible without the direct assistance of the military and the Bundeswehr, thus the German army. It says, a strike by the latter on critical Russian transport infrastructure, and as a target, would be considered as direct participation of Germany in military actions alongside the Kiev regime, with all the consequences that this would entail for Germany. Here is what the official representative of the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the very popular Maria Zakharova declared. Sorry, I was saying the representative. It's rather the representative, Maria Zakharova, who is the spokesperson for Russian diplomacy. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, here is the headline news. We will see what Germany is going to do. Will Germany persist? Question mark. What will follow will follow. And so, ladies, young ladies and gentlemen, that was the international headline news. I will be back shortly with more news. This was the voice of your one and only samurai.